Gravel and adventure bikes are rapidly evolving with a whole slew of new products designed to make gravel riding more capable, faster and more fun. This year, SRAM has launched its Explore range of products, bringing together RockShox, Zipp and its own drivetrain components into a package of components designed to make gravel riding more accessible and more enjoyable. On this lovely Salsa Warbird, I've been reviewing their brand new 1044 1x cassette, RockShox Reverb Access dropper seat post and RockShox Rudy suspension fork. We also have their new rebranded, relabeled tyres, a 40mm wide tyre, fitted as you can see here to their current Zipp 303 S wheels, which I reviewed about a year ago on a Trek Domani in a road bike setup. These wheels, because they're wide and tubeless only, are good for a wide tyre, and I've been really impressed with their performance over the last few weeks. Fast from the aero design of the rims, and also amazingly strong. The number of times I've dinged the rim on rocks and roots is quite alarming, but they shrugged it all off just fine, and touch wood, no punctures. But as part of this Explore range, the company also launched a brand new wheel set. Sadly, they weren't available when the bike arrived, but they have just arrived in the post today, and here they are. These then are the new 101 Explore carbon fiber gravel wheel, the first time the US company had made a wheel set just for gravel riding. And as you can see, they're quite a bit different to the 303 S wheels. Where the 303 is an aero wheel set, these are definitely not an aero wheel set in any shape or form. The brand new 101 Explore wheels were inspired by a single wall rim design found on motocross wheels, which the company first developed for a mountain bike wheel set called the 30 Moto a few years back. A conventional bike rim has a box section design, but these have a single wall carbon fiber construction. The benefits, according to SRAM, is the way the flat and wide carbon rim can pivot around the spokes to provide a smoother ride on rough trails. The rims are massively wide, 27 on the inside and designed for wide tyres only. They're also hookless as well, with J-bend spokes and external nipples, and come in a 700C and 650B size options, and they're backed by a lifetime warranty. Despite the carbon fibre construction, they're not especially lightweight at 1,665 grams, much heavier than the MVG23s I reviewed previously and heavier than the 303S wheels. The main benefit of carbon fibre for making wheels has been the aerodynamic advantage compared to using aluminium. You get a massive weight saving for the deep section aero profile. What these wheels show is that aero isn't the only promised land for carbon. Comfort can be improved too. Do a long gravel ride, racing or bikepacking, and fatigue is a big factor as the miles rack up. Reducing these vibrations is why we're seeing suspension developments and ever increasing tyre clearance on modern gravel bikes. So they look pretty awesome, but are they a gimmick? Well, to find out, I'm going to fit some tyres, get them on a bike and go for a ride and see how we get on. So fast forward to a few weeks time and let's see how we get on. I've now been using these wheels for several weeks, riding all my local trails here in the Cotswolds, and also a trip to Scotland to do a bike packing adventure where the really extreme rocky terrain helped put these wheels through their paces. I've also been back-to-back comparison testing with the 303 S wheels that came on this Salsa Warbird, and using the same G40 tyres at the same pressures there or thereabouts, to really get to know these wheels as much as I can and retest all the claims made by Zipp for these wheels in terms of comfort, control, traction and also durability. And I know how easy it is to dismiss all that development, all that tech and marketing as a bit of a gimmick, but these wheels do offer a smoother ride than the 303S wheels that are riding alongside them. It's buttery smooth on the roughest, rockiest, rootiest trails, an extra layer of compliance even when you have big tyres at low pressures and a suspension fork on the bike. That extra smoothness is really noticeable in a number of places. both high-speed washable gravel, where you normally get quite a lot of jittery feedback through the contact points. It just smooths that out and gives less fatigue on a longer ride. And then up in Scotland, where we encounter some very steep and some very big, rocky, bouldery trails, there these wheels also delivered a smoother ride. When you're really smashing into rocks with a fully laden bike packing setup, the extra smoothness they gave in those situations really helped to deliver a more comfortable ride experience over the 3 days we were riding. Arriving at our destination less tired, less beaten up, and still smiling despite everything we put our bikes and body through. And it's kind of difficult to explain how the wheel deliver that smoothness without actually trying it yourself. But when you do go from that deep section wheel set to these wheels, you really can feel the difference. And probably the best way for me to explain it is the difference between a rigid mountain bike and a full suspension mountain bike. On a rigid bike, you get all the feedback and impact through the bike and body. On a full suspension bike, it's all filtered out. And that's what these do really well. They filter out a lot of that vibration that you normally feel on a gravel bike. Even a good one with big tyres at low pressures just gives you an extra layer of smoothness. So when you add that layer of smoothness you get from the wheels to the smoothness you get from the tyres, the suspension and the frame, you get a lovely, lovely, buttery smooth ride that makes riding gravel and road and everything in between much smoother, much more enjoyable, and ultimately more comfortable, and means you're less tired at the end of a long ride. The flex engineered into the rims doesn't just benefit comfort though, but also puncture prevention, which I can really speak of from experience, and also control and traction according to the company. Now, in terms of puncture prevention, well, touch wood, I didn't have a single puncture on the tyres and wheels during my time of riding, which is quite impressive despite everything I put them through. One clear benefit of these over the 303S wheels, when you're clattering down a rocky trail with low pressure tyres, you normally hear the dinging and impacting of the rim on the ground. And while sometimes that won't lead to a puncture, oftentimes it can lead to a puncture. So a noisy ride with a high risk of a puncture. But these are remarkably quiet. There isn't that audible sensation of the rims clattering into the rocks and other objects. And the width of the rim no doubt helps when it comes to preventing punctures. Nice broad platform. The tyre isn't pinched in as much as it is on a narrow rim, so it gives it a nice wide stance, and that definitely helps give that puncture prevention at low pressures and also more control. The company also talks about improved traction and control as a benefit of the rims over regular deep section rims, and those in my experience are harder to quantify in my riding. There were a few occasions, especially in Scotland, when we were bike packing down very steep rocky tracks at high speed, that the smoother ride these generated gave more control. Because the bike isn't being bounced around so much, I can hold my line much more easily. There's less feedback coming through the bike, so it's calmer, smoother, and that way control was improved over a deeper section wheel. When it comes to traction, I get what Zipp are talking about in terms of how the rim can deform and give you more traction in certain situations. But here at my local trails and up in Scotland, where we did encounter quite a few tricky climbs where traction is definitely at a premium, I didn't really feel a massive benefit from these rims over the 303S wheels. So that's a harder one to quantify, but I'm sure it probably does help a bit, but isn't as tangible a benefit as the comfort and puncture prevention they do offer. I can definitely speak of the durability and the toughness of these wheels. I've battered them for several weeks of riding now, deliberately riding into every route and rock and other obstacle I can find, and riding with a bike packing setup and all the extra weight and stress that puts on the bike components and wheels as well. And looking at the wheels now, they're still intact. There's no scratches, dents or dings in them at all. And they are covered by a lifetime warranty if you do push the limits. Although it's worth mentioning, there is a rider and bike weight limit of 125 kilos to bear in mind. All other aspects of the wheels have been fine during my long-term test as well. The bearings are still running smoothly despite being jet washed and run through some very muddy conditions. The free hub engages as quickly as you need it to. Spoke tension is still good, and the J-bend spokes as well are easy to replace, and we have external nipples if you need to adjust them, but they're still running straight. They look as good as when they first arrived, really. The downsides to these wheels is that they're not aero and they're not lightweight. and they're also quite expensive. Now, quite a few people might think I talk about aero way too much here on the channel, but these clearly aren't as aero as the 303S wheels I had on them before they arrived. These simply don't feel as fast when you are riding at high speeds, which you can ride on a gravel bike. This is a fast setup, fast running tyres, low overall weight, and you can easily smash along the road or a nice groomed gravel track at 30 kilometers per hour or more. Especially in a group, you can go even faster. And we're seeing the speeds that professional gravel racers are going at now. Quite incredible speeds, average speeds over quite long distance rides as well. And that lack of aero might be okay if they're super lightweight, but they're not. I mean, they're not heavy, but they're not very lightweight, especially for the money and in the company they enjoy in this category. For example, they're heavier than the Zipp 303S wheels that are replaced on this bike, and they're much heavier than the excellent MV G23 wheels, which I reviewed previously on the channel, link above if you missed it. And that weight is something you really feel at lower speeds in tight and twisting trails, especially a single track I like to ride here in the Cotswolds. Those MV G23s, for example, felt much more responsive, much more lively at lower speeds, changing direction from one corner to another corner and getting up to speed quickly from a slow stop. So these wheels don't have that sort of laser sharp responsiveness, and they don't have the aero. So you are sacrificing aero and low weight for the comfort they offer. So it does make an interesting choice. And it really comes down to how much you favour comfort, low weight, or aero, or other factors. And really, you need to do maybe a bit of a Venn diagram of which ones are most important to you and decide where these are in terms of their rivals in this space. And then there's the price. Yes, they are expensive wheels. They are state-of-the-art wheels. There's nothing else like these on the market, of course. And hopefully this technology will trickle down to a lower price point in the future. Something that SRAM, the parent company of Zipp, does very, very well. We've seen it already with their rival group set. So hopefully a more affordable version of these wheels will be available in the future if you like the technology, but you're put off by the price. Another factor to consider, which might be a deal breaker for you, is how wide they are. That 27mm wide internal rim width is bigger than anything I've used so far and is perfect for a wide gravel tyre. But there's a minimum 35mm tyre width you can run on these, which means you can't run a 28 or a 30mm slick tyre. So if you're the sort of person who wants one wheel set but can run two different sets of tyres for road and gravel, then these aren't that wheel set for you really. You can't fit some 28s on these and run them through the winter as a road bike. You're limited to a gravel tyre, which I imagine for most people will be just fine. You're buying these wheels for gravel riding, but you do lose some of that versatility you get with a narrow rim. So let me sum up the review then, and these are a great wheel set if you value comfort above all else. They definitely deliver a smoother, quieter ride than the best aluminium wheel set and the deepest section carbon rims I've tried. They're tough, durable, nice and wide for gravel tyres, and you get a lifetime warranty as well. And I think they look really good too. However, the downside, the price tag is quite big. The weight isn't especially low and not aero. But if you can ignore those three, then you're getting a great wheel set that really points to an interesting direction for gravel, borrowing again heavily from mountain biking to deliver a smoother ride, a more comfort focused ride for gravel, exploring, bikepacking, adventure riding. Anyway, that's my review of the brand new Zipp 101 Explore wheels. Do let me know what you think down below, and if you have any questions, love to hear from you as always. And if you want to see a review of this bike and the suspension fork on it, then check out this video up here, and don't forget to subscribe hitting the button down here. Right, thanks for watching. See you all again very soon.